All right, everybody, welcome back to another session. I thought I would play around with that painted echo cane again, but on white. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do a little two-puff vessel. And these are really great if you have already been working with shards and blowing shards and have a little practice. And this is also great for a first-time practice vessel too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out on a blowpipe that I've cut down from a stainless steel tube and make sure that the edges are nice and sanded down. Then I dip the end in bead release and make sure that there's always an airway in there. And after that sets up, I can go ahead and start making this bead. And I'll start out with white, and I'm going to form the neck area. So it's going to be a little higher up on the pipe, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so, depending on how tall you want the neck to be. And I'm going to add a couple of wraps here. The end of the pipe, the bead release kind of came off, but it didn't seem to matter here. Everything was okay. It came off fine. But what I want to do is just form a really nice neck area. Make sure that at least the bottom part is nice and flat. The top part I'm not so worried about because later on at the end we will add a lip wrap to it. But it's more important that this, where the pipe is nice and flat. And then we can start to form the neck area. And that's going to be just some nice straight wraps on the very edge of the neck. And so I'm going to just start building this up, trying to maintain my heat the best I can, and to work one-handed, which is not easy for me to do. So it takes me a while to build up this big hollow ball, which is basically what we're doing. It's like building up a hollow bead, but there's no two sides. You're working from one side all the way to the other side. So once I am happy with the way that the shoulder area looks, then I can kind of shape it up a little bit, angle it where I need to if I want to, and smooth out the bottom one more time. It doesn't have to be perfect, but of course the more perfect you can make it, the better and easier it is. So I'm just going to spend time now just adding my wraps the best I can to form a full hollow ball. And while I do that, I thought this would be a good time to revisit my past again and tell you a little bit more about my trip to Alaska. And let me tell you, it was crazy. The more I think about it, it was just, it's not like I was a naive person. I was in my late 20s, so I kind of felt like I knew what was going on out there. But I ended up, I went to Anchorage, Alaska, and I worked for 6 weeks, maybe 2 months for a glass blower lady up there. And when I first got there, she was very, very nice. But, the first thing she tells me is, oh, you got to watch out here in our Anchorage. There's a lot of, people who are going to, abuse you in that way. So be careful. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be going out on the town ever. I'm not a drinker. I don't visit clubs. I'm just kind of a homebody. So I was kind of taken aback by that. But the interesting thing was that it was almost all dark all day when I got there. And by the time I left, it was almost daylight all day. So it was kind of interesting and a beautiful place. Beautiful. I was able to see the northern lights, and that was just a trip. I mean, I'm telling you, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Huge green, just moving through the sky, and blues and yellows. It was so cool. And so anyway, I'm working with this lady, and I don't have to stay with her, thank goodness. But She wanted me to. I was like, no, thank you. I'll stay with the people I'm staying with, which was a really nice little bed and breakfast. I ended up like working for them just to stay there a little longer because I just couldn't stay with this woman. It would have been the end of me. Yeah, she was pretty harsh. She had techniques. She had learned her own craft in the Seattle area, which obviously I didn't know anything about how to really blow glass. I had spent 4 years in school learning how to kind of blow glass and learning from people who were just learning too. And then going to see people who knew how to blow glass really well. And, it took me a long time to figure things out. And her technique was totally different from anything I'd ever seen. And anything I did wrong in that studio, oh man, or anything she did wrong, it was all my fault. Every little thing that could have possibly go wrong, I was the one that got the brunt of the yelling and the, you're horrible at this and what's wrong with you and do it right next time. It was crazy, you guys. And then, she forced me to eat all of the food that she ate, which I was okay with, but oh my gosh, sometimes when you're in a situation like that, it's fight or flight or flight or I don't know what, but I just stuck to it the best I could. And I was so stressed out with the way she treated me that I have really bad teeth. I don't know why, just hereditary, I guess. And I ended up having a back tooth impact, and the pain was so bad. And so what did I have to do? I had to go see her dentist. So here I am going to her dentist, and it turns out that the people at that dentist office were all worried about me, like, what, you're staying with this woman? Oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm not staying with her, but I need to get out of here. I need to go home. And one of the nurses even slipped me her phone number just in case of an emergency. Anyway, so I went back and they gave me some kind of medication, you guys. I don't know what it was. Oh, here's my first little puff here, you guys. After I smoothed everything out, puff it up just a little tiny bit, just until you see it kind of get big. That's all you want to do here. You don't want to make it any bigger. And I'm going to start adding my design here now. But so I'm on this medication. And I wake up, and by the time I left, midnight, it was still daylight. Very strange. So I wake up, I don't even know what time it is, and the lady I'm staying with has a dog, and it's like a poodle. And I wake up and I look at this poodle who's laying next to me, and the dog's hair is moving. And I'm like, what? And I look up and everything kind of shifts. Like I felt like I was tripping on acid, you guys. It scared the living daylights out of me. I got upstairs. I was downstairs in the basement area where the bedrooms were. I got out of bed. I ran upstairs. I ran out of the house and ran down the street yelling for help. I've never done anything like that before in my life. I don't know what was going on, and it just so happened that the woman I was staying with was on a walk back home, and she saw me, and she's like, "Oh my God, Robin, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "I got to get out of here. I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on." Everything was like a movie. It was just crazy. And she was like, "Look, let's go over to this lady's house, pick up all your stuff, and then let's get you out of here." And I was like, okay, but you got to go with me. And so she goes with me to this lady's house because I had brought all my glass blowing supplies, all my tools. She promised me that I would have days where I would be able to, work some glass. Never happened. Never once. And, my days off, I was exhausted from even just working with this woman, mentally and physically. It was just a crazy. I think I'd try to block most of it out of my memory. But, so I would go get my stuff, and I'm like, I'm leaving. I can't stay here anymore. And the lady's like, oh, okay, okay, okay. And then we, you know, walk back home a mile or so. And then all of a sudden she's like, I think she either pulled up in her vehicle or something like that. And she gets out and she decides she's just going to, at the very end, read me the riot act and tell me how, how broken I am and how I have mental problems and, I need to be fixed and I need help. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, just shut the F up so I can get out of here. And I was just like, okay, okay, okay. Oh, well, great, thanks. I appreciate that you think about me that way. Well, I'm out of here. And that night I was on a plane headed back home. And that was Alaska. It was crazy. But I did enjoy some of it. The neighborhood was lovely. The people in the neighborhood were lovely. Everybody seemed to have a different type of dog. So it was always like a dog show every day, watching people walk their dogs. And then everybody goes to the top of this mountain on the day that there's 24-hour daylight, and they kind of party on the top of this mountain all night long because it's like there is no night. It was crazy, but fascinating. And, a lesson to be learned. And my big lesson was I'll never work for another glass artist ever in my life again. I don't care who they are or, how nice they are. It just scarred me. It scarred me for life, this lady. Anyway, so I ended up going back home and I just was like, okay, I am going to go to graduate school. And I had planned on that anyway. I was already accepted to Bowling Green State University before I went to Alaska. And I told this woman, she wanted me to stay with her. She wanted me to move to Alaska forever. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to graduate school. And she's like, why would you want to go to graduate school? There's nothing to do, there's nothing for you in graduate school. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, there is. You are not in my graduate school. And that's all I need to know is that you will never be part of my life ever again. So anyway, I ended up going back home and, it was kind of a weird side note. I went back to my, my undergrad, University of Texas at Arlington, because I was really missing my teacher and everybody up there, and I just needed some kind of normalcy around the art in the glass. So I kind of went up there to say hi and everything. And of all the things, the teacher that I just, bowed down to and worshipped, basically, because I thought he was so cool, totally freaking ignored me and was like, I was like, hey, here I am. He said, oh, hey. He was like busy blowing glass and, just ignored me the whole time. And so did everybody else there, which was really weird. And I just never understood why. Did I do something wrong? Of course I overthink everything, but anyway, so I just figured, okay, and I even wrote him postcards. I emailed him every now and then, never heard back from him, And it was kind of, it was a shame. It was a shame. I wish I could have talked to him again because really, without him, I would not have gotten into glass. But I don't know. Some people. Anyway, that's a story for another day. And my going to graduate school as well. Interesting story there. That's how I met Patrick. And anyway, crazy times. But I think here at the end, what am I doing here? Let's get back to this vessel because we're almost done. So I have my pattern on here. I put my lip wrap on, and just be real careful when you add the lip wrap and shape it up real nice if you can. And then here I'm just adding handles. And this is the easiest and best way that I learned how to make handles is by just adding dots and letting everything cool down and then adding another row of dots. Not row, but sections, like a top and a bottom section where I want the handle to start and where I want the handle to end. And then it's just a matter of continuously building up those dots and then letting them cool down so you can add more to make your handle grow. And you want to do it, 2 dots and then 2 dots. Keep everything nice and even while you're building up your handles. And then at the very end, I'm going to add a couple of dots of the painted echo cane. I thought that would be a nice little touch as a band around the handle. And again, every time you add a few things, make sure you flash the vessel part because it's not solid, it's thin. So it can easily crack if you are not paying attention. All right, so these last dots here are all I'm going to need. And then I'm going to heat everything up and make sure everything's nice and warm. And then when I'm ready, I will heat up very gently on the bottom half, the bottom side, because it's facing downward. I'm going to push both of my handles together very gently until they touch. And then I'll heat it up a little bit. And then I'll immediately put the handle upside so I can work on the downside handle too. So while I'm working on the bottom side, the top side is cooling a little bit. And now that that's finished, we can heat everything up a little bit more. And I forgot to mention at the very end, I ended up giving this whole piece an acid etch. The first picture is with no acid etch, and you can see the yellowing from the silver on the white, which I didn't know if I'd like that all too much. And then the second shot is the acid etch with no finish. And then the final shot is with an oil finish on the vessel. So you'll see those 3 shots at the end. You'll have to let me know which one you like the best. So here at the very end, all I'm going to do is use a graphite pencil to very gently just round out the inside of the handles. And then a whole nice heating back and forth in the back of the flame. And I am just going to continue to reduce this a little bit more just to see if it would give a better reduction, which it really didn't. So that's why I ended up doing the acid etch and all that stuff. Anyway, you'll have to let me know what you think about the vessel, which one you like the best, which finish you like the best. And on that note, I hope you all enjoyed this one and give the 2-puff vessel a try. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon.